Hey everybody, how we all doing today? Welcome in the clubhouse. Uh, you know, your regularly scheduled Nats Report show, totally out all the time. It's okay, we'll get that fixed here. We'll be more regular with it. Welcome back for our first edition in a month. I'm Hayden Raymer. I'm joined as pretty much always my lovely friend and co-host,
Jeremy Lapidus.
Welcome. Jeremy, how have you been over this little bit over a month? Our last show was like on March 6th.
Yeah, no, it's been a bit. The season has started. I've been really good. Graduation's right around the corner. You
Yeah.
know, you know. But yeah, no, I've been very good. I'm very excited. The Nats season is underway. It's not going the way that we want it to so far, but there is a lot to talk about. So, what about you, Hayden? How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm just quick responding to my tweet with the link so that way people can
Oh,
join
that's
us
been muted.
live.
This is not good.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I clicked. I was just putting the link in there so people could join us live. The people who were waiting for me to put it on Twitter, so that way they know to come join us on YouTube. Because all these episodes are streamed live on YouTube. You can just come to it's the Nats Report .com. Not the Nats Report. It's just the Nats Report on YouTube. There we go. Sorry, brain's not working all of a sudden. But I usually tweet out live. The Nats Report usually retweets us when we go live. We'll do a better job of not doing it, or me. I have to do a better job of not putting it out last minute when we're going live. But all the shows are live. Anyways, what's the end of the news? Because there's a lot of news. Josiah Gray went on the IL today. He is yet one of what feels like a million starting pitchers that went on the IL for some sort of elbow soreness type thing. Jonah Doan was called up to replace him today, and he'll be making his 2024 debut against the Giants tonight in like 30 minutes.
That's right.
So, I guess, Jeremy, what are your thoughts on the Gray? Is Adone the guy who you'd want called up?
So, for the Nationals specifically, the way that they're running it this season, as far as punting down the line for it seems like another year, Adone is fine. I personally, if I was making decisions, would love it, love it, love it, love it, if we could get more young guys in the rotation. I know Cade Cavalli isn't healthy yet, but Jackson Rutledge maybe, guys that in the future are projected to be, very important guys in our rotation. Get them more reps in the big leagues. I'm a big proponent of getting them experience. So
yeah, no, absolutely. I agree. I think I don't know exactly who was on the taxi squad, but I know Adone was one of the members on that taxi squad because they are on that West Coast. Getting somebody from Rochester this late would be a little hard, and so I think that's probably more of the issue. They want to keep Rutledge on that regularly scheduled programming. I think that's probably a bigger factor in that decision than you mentioned.
right, and obviously being on the West Coast, you don't have that many options.
Yeah.
But something I've been toying with in my brain, and I'm not sure if this is if this is even possible with the way that the Nats are put out, but with the increased amount of pitcher injuries and the amount like that, something that again they're still doing studies on, so I'm not sure if this would even be a solution. But could the Nats go to a 6 starter rotation? They have the arms to do it in the minors, in the majors. Take out one of their relievers from the bullpen maybe and go to like a six starter rotation kind of system.
Yeah. I mean, I think right now there's two issues with that. One is you have 26 roster spots, and it's you only have space for so many players, and that's that's kind of the reason why we're at that 5-man rotation is because the bullpen guys need their rest too. And I think with the guys who are currently on the roster, nobody, Nats starters don't have a propensity of throwing deep in games. I mean, that's just modern baseball. They probably need to expand that roster a little bit more year round. But in order for to keep these injuries down, I guess my question for you is: we got Oakland coming up for the second leg of this series. They'll have an off day on Thursday. Do we think we see Rutledge potentially make his 2024 debut either in that series or against the Dodgers in that third leg of this road trip?
I wouldn't expect him until back in DC, probably.
Okay.
Again, and that goes to your point with the taxi squad. I know you've got more time down the stretch, and we've got 7 games left on the West Coast or so. 8, something like that.
8, including tonight.
Games left. So there's a chance that maybe when Adon's spot comes around again, they switch it up. But
that's what I was saying.
I don't think they will. I think they'll just. I think it does depend on what he does tonight.
Yeah.
If he comes out and he pitches, a quality start, he'll stay. But if he gets blown up in the first or second inning, then probably not.
Well, I mean, that's always the thing with Adon, where he looks great. He looks super sharp through the first time, maybe even the second time through the order, and then the wheels fall off really quick. Which, I mean, that's just, again, goes back to modern baseball nowadays, where it's just there's not a whole lot of guys who can go through the order that third time. Hopefully the Nats kind of have picked up on the fact that he can't do that, and they don't really, stretch him out too far. Don't put him in these bad situations tonight. But we'll see. Kind of, I guess, staying within the season here. Obviously, Senzel got hurt. We're waiting for Stone Garrett to come back. I think Senzel started his rehab assignment either tonight or tomorrow. Who do you think is the person to kind of replace that person to go on the IL? Or coming off the IL, I guess.
When does Nick Senzel come off the IL?
So he, like I said, he's getting a rehab start. Let me see. Just saw a tweet about it. It's like either tonight or tomorrow, and so then he has 15 games of rehab, I believe, is the way that works.
So
a week or
obviously,
2 is what I would say.
Obviously, the most obvious answer to that question would be Trey Lipscomb, but the way that he has kind of exploded onto the scene, it makes him tough to send him back, right?
Mm-hmm.
You talk about a guy that is over 1,000 OPS. It's tough to send him back down.
Mm-hmm.
The other option that's also tough to do, Ildemaro Vargas is a guy. He's also been hitting pretty well, but he's that clubhouse guy. He's not going down. So it probably is going to end up being Trey Lipscomb. Again, they're not bringing up a lot of their young guys, but maybe they pull something and they move Luis Garcia back down.
They can't.
They don't.
If they do, they expose them to waivers.
So there's a couple different options there. I think the most likely one is Lipscomb goes back down, but I think that would be a mistake.
I guess, how likely do you think Nasim Nunez is to get? Is that? I mean, I'm sure that's something that they're playing with in their heads. Obviously, we've seen him a little bit. He's not exactly going to be, lights out offensively. Putting together the best roster today would be sending Nunez down. But like you said earlier, they're kind of punting a little bit this year.
Right, and they can't really send him down either, right? They've got him on the got to keep him on the active roster.
If they cut him, then he gets returned back to the Marlins.
Mm-hmm. So that kind of, limits it a bit, which is why they're kind of in that tough spot, because you're not going to send down you're not going to send down C.J. Abrams, you're not going to send down Joey Gallo, Joey Meneses, and that leaves you in the spot where you have to decide between uh, Lipscomb. Can he play second? If he can, maybe you send Garcia down, but Garcia hasn't had that bad of a season on his own.
He's been very good.
Yeah, he's been hitting. He's been hitting doubles and everything, which is like the biggest stuff. And then his defense is solid.
Yeah, it hasn't been remarkable, but he's been unremarkable, I guess.
And then the other option is, I know you like we like the balance they have with arms to bats, but maybe you send down a bullpen guy, not something I would do, or maybe you go to just a 3-man outfield, which would really leave you short-handed. But in a pinch, you can have Joey Gallo go out and play outfield.
Nick Senzel also played in the outfield with the Reds.
Joey Meneses has the ability to play outfield. Ildemaro Vargas can play the outfield. There's guys that you can do flexible stuff with. So maybe they decide to send down a guy like Jacob Young, keep Trey Lipscomb up.
Yeah, no, that's a tough decision. When Stone Garrett comes back, though, it only gets even more complicated. And I guess a little bit of a segue here. How long of a leash does Joey Meneses have?
It's not that long. I know we've had kind of these discussions over the last year or so with looking at how kind of crowded the roster is with how everyone's slotted in. It's not like overcrowded, but there's players that kind of have to slot in other places, and if you want to bring them up, then you're going to make sacrifices. And Joey Meneses has been on that chopping block. He's been like last man in type situation for quite some time when you're looking at roster construction wise. Maybe not actually in the Nationals' eyes, but roster constructions wise, he's kind of been that last man in, or you have to build around him. And I love me some Joey Meneses. Big Joey Meneses guy over here.
No, you are.
But he doesn't have that long of a rope, and especially when you're getting a guy like Stone Garrett who can kind of do exactly what Joey does, except he's a little younger. He has a little more pop in his bat than Joey Meneses does, and he's probably better in the field. You might just have to make that change.
Yeah. I mean, so I guess with Joey, right, what's kind of like the one thing we can expect from Joey, right? It's, hitting left-handed hitting.
Right.
And I mean, I think he's been worse against left-handed hitting, and the Nats in general have been worse against left-handed pitchers. Through yesterday, the Nats were 29th in the league in WRC+. Let me pull up OPS. We'll see where they rank OPS, but it's not going to be much better. Yeah, the Nats are last in OPS. They have a 478 OPS against lefties as right-handed hitters. And
Which is kind of the opposite of last year. Last year they were killing lefties, and they kind of struggled against righties a little bit. And this team isn't that different. It's not like they got rid of those guys that were crushing lefties. It's just they're off to a slow start. DJ Abrams has been out for a little bit. Lane Thomas is starting to heat up again. He hit his first home run yesterday. He's on a 3-game hit streak now. And Joey Meneses has just been not great to start the season.
Yeah, he was 0 for 4 yesterday. Had a walk, but it's just, I don't know. But I think the most frustrating part about like Joey lately has been they keep putting him in the 4-hole.
Right.
And it's like, or he's still in the middle of that order, and I just, then we see Luis Garcia is getting benched against lefties a lot, and he's been one of the best hitters on the Nats. It's starting to get a little frustrating. as somebody who follows the team, I don't know if you feel that way as well.
They're still, I think, feeling this roster out.
Yeah.
And as long as this kind of phase doesn't go on for too much longer, I'm not going to be that mad about it. Because you go through this process with every team. You have spring training, but especially when you're a team like the Nats that had injury opening day to your lineup, you know, you're going through a whole bunch of stuff like that. It's kind of it's kind of you're preparing for a transition year, so nobody is really set. It kind of leads to a sense of ambiguity in the lineup, and you're not really sure exactly how you want to do it. You can fall back on certain things, but you're still playing with it. And I give Davey a month to figure this out. If he is still, again, I'm giving him a longer leash because of the state of the team, because there's just pieces floating all over the place right now with this team. If this is still an issue by the time we get to May, there's something wrong.
Yeah.
But right now, we're just 2 weeks into the season. I'd like to give it at least 2 more weeks before I'd like to see like stuff solidified. You know, that gives you time to get your injured players back. Really, that after a month, you kind of have a big enough sample size to play around with the lineup. Right now, you're just kind of throwing stuff against the wall and seeing what sticks. So it's not too much to worry about right now. But you get 2-3 weeks down the line and we're still having this conversation, then it's an issue.
Yeah, no, I agree with you completely. I think it's just like leftover, just frustration from last year. I think is how myself and a lot of like Nats fans feel, where it's just 2023 all over again. And you know, as you know, fun as that little stretch during the summer was, where the Nats were just crushing it. The scrappy Nats just they went on that little run there, won up a ton of games. That still wasn't an enjoyable year as a fan. But yeah, I mean, we talked about Trey Lipscomb a lot. Obviously, him coming back, or not coming back, coming up. He had that hot spring. Nick Senzel broke his thumb, literally taking ground balls on opening day before the game started. I guess, has your opinion of Trey Lipscomb changed from since
no, it definitely has.
Since opening day?
Yeah, opening day, obviously, he was more of an afterthought to me because we had just gone out and gotten a guy like Nick Senzel, a guy that was really slated into third base. We don't need Trey Lipscomb coming up. He did have a solid spring. He, stuck around in camp longer than anybody else, which surprised me a little bit, but they know what they're talking about a little bit, those people up there. But yeah, my opinion's definitely changed. I was worried about how he was going to adjust to big league hitting because there was the issue of him at the plate a little bit down in the minors last season. But no, it hasn't really been that big of an issue. I've been very impressed by him, actually. So my opinion has definitely changed.
Yeah, no, the thing that I'm still skeptical about, I was talking to a friend the other day, and I was like, he's a guy who he's going to have every opportunity right now to prove that he's an everyday player. Even though he might not be one in the long term. I'm still skeptical on him being one in the long term. I still think he probably is kind of the successor to that Ildemaro Vargas role, where, he kind of just plays anywhere on that infield. They can kick him out the left if they need to. And, if, he'd be a solid platoon option if, we really don't think Luis is a good hitter against lefties, which, fair enough.
Right. He still kind of screams, in ideal world, all the prospects work out, back up to Brady House at third, right?
Yeah.
But if not everything goes their way, I wouldn't be mad at him continuing to play a third base because he's done a solid job out there.
Yeah, the thing that
So
surprised me of him is his speed, and just his knack for stealing bases. I think he's up to 4 stolen bases already. I think that's right. I know he stole home last night.
he's got 4.
4. Yeah. So he that ability to steal bases is something that I think the Nats in general very much value a lot. I mean, obviously we see CJ stealing. We've seen Lane steal a couple bags. We've seen Luis Garcia steal a base. They're really trying to kind of be that best base running team, which that's a good thing. Yeah, that's just been the thing that surprised me. I really was high on his glove at third base. He's looked good out there. Obviously, he's hit the 1 home run, but the power isn't insane. He's not walking a ton. So I mean, offensively, he's kind of done what I thought he would do when he was major league ready, and I didn't think he was major league ready yet, but he's proven me wrong. So props to him.
No, and he just came out of the gate swinging. It wasn't like it took him a day or two to adjust. Came out right away.
Yeah, I mean he had that little slump there, that week where he was a little rough,
But
hey,
no, I was very impressed with with how far he had come. I didn't think he was quite ready yet either. But no, he's done a great job so far up in the majors, and he's got a couple more games to solidify himself on this roster. Something he absolutely can do.
mm-hmm.
There's no reason that he has to be the guy that gets sent down when Nick Senzel comes back up.
Yeah,
but it's going to be a little tough just because of how ticky-tacky the slots are here in this roster.
Yeah, if he keeps hitting like this, he's going to kind of force them to drop Nunez, in my opinion. Has there been anybody else that's been a pleasant surprise for you?
My biggest pleasant surprise so far this season is actually Trevor Williams.
Okay.
He was maybe the worst pitcher in all of baseball last year.
I wouldn't even put the maybe on it.
And he's come out, and I know wins aren't a pitcher stat, but he's won both of his first 2 games. He has an ERA under 3 in those 2 games. It's not like he's going out there and being lights out, but he's not the worst pitcher in the league, and it's a drastic improvement. Kind of came out of nowhere for me. So that's been my biggest pleasant surprise. There hasn't been too many positives with this team. But that's one of those that I was just like, hey, maybe he figured something out.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at his numbers, between last year and this year, he was good in the second half, or not the second half, the first half. It was just that second half was so bad where it kind of drug down his entire season. I don't know. For me, the guy I look at is, well, it's 2 guys. It's Joey Gallo and it's Jesse Winker. Those guys have been taking really good at-bats. Winker has a 20% walk rate now, something insane like that. That's obviously probably not sustainable, but a 765 OPS, especially when you look at what he did in 2022, 2023. He's looking like somebody who could play himself into getting traded at the deadline, which then that's getting another prospect, huge. And then Gallo's been very good defensively at first. You ask anybody, they've all been impressed by him defensively at first. And I mean, he has a 762 OPS. I can't complain about considering what some of the other players. I mean, there's been some disappointments offensively. We talked about how Lane got hot lately, but has not been good outside of that. It's good to see some of the offseason additions, doing well.
Yeah, no, Joey Gallo's an interesting case because he does his thing where he starts the season off 0 for 15 or whatever. and then he hits a bomb, and then unlocks his ability to hit again. Uh, it's one of those. I mean, we knew what we were getting with Joey Gallo, right?
Yeah.
He goes through these slumps, and this is like something that I guarantee you is going to happen, like at least 2 more times this season. He's going to go 3 or 4 games without a hit, but
Yeah, I mean that's just that happens. That's Joey Gallo.
that's Joey Gallo.
That's just Joey Gallo. But he just he hits enough home runs and he hits enough hits for enough power where it does at the end of the day it tends to balance itself out. Which is good. We like to see that. I don't know. Is there anybody else that really stood out to you? I mean, obviously, Luis Garcia. Do we want to give Luis Garcia his flowers real quick?
Of course, we want to give Luis Garcia his flowers. You talk about a guy who got sent down at the end of last season, for his lack of a bat. And now he's starting to show what he showed in that 2020 season. Taking a look at what he's done so far: 845 OPS, 500 slugging, hitting 321. I know it's a small sample size, but it's a pretty good slash line right there.
Mm-hmm. And the batted ball data backs it up too, which is I think the most encouraging part about it.
Mm-hmm. And then on the defensive side too, if you've been listening to this show for however long we've been doing it, you watch the tape, you see what he can do, his range. He's still working on his accuracy throwing the ball, which is kind of important, but the range is there, and that's not something you can just develop. He's been really good this season. He already has 5 doubles. He doesn't have a home run, but he's got the gap power. He's getting that back. He never really did have huge home run potential, but this is by far the best he's looked behind the plate since 2020.
Yeah, no, I agree. Garcia, what's impressed me about him is, we talk about guys, there's kind of that little, seesaw, right, where it's, striking out and hitting for power, and, last season we watched him go a little bit too far on the not striking out side. And so he traded off, he's whipping, a little bit more, but, last year, he has what Statcast defines as barrels. He had 23 of those. This year, he already has 6. And he's only played in 9 games. He's just absolutely hitting the ball at a rate, a hard hit rate that he hasn't done before. And a lot of the plate discipline stuff where he's still not chasing a ton. Still making solid contact otherwise. It's not like he's upped his whiff rate a ton. He's still, not whiffing a ton. I'm glad the Nats didn't move on from Luis Garcia. I think you and I on this show have constantly talked about how we're Luis Garcia truthers. We don't want to see him get cut yet. Who else is there? Let him play. And it's, I don't know.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We're big Luis Garcia fans here.
Yeah.
And he's still really young. He's been with this organization in the majors for at least parts of what's this, his 5th season now?
Pretty much. It feels like it.
But he came up when he was 18, 19. He's 23 right now. He's still really, really young. There's still plenty of time to develop. We don't need to hit the panic button on him yet.
Yeah. No, that especially the age. That was the big thing. It's Vic's a little bit older. I understand the wanting to move on from Vic, but Garcia's still 23. I don't know. I don't think I'm gonna be a finished product as a human being at 23 for my profession. I don't expect him to be either. I think we've been spoiled a little bit by some super amazing prospects that we've had come through, Abrams and Soto.
Yeah. No, the Nats have kind of been on a generational run of these prospects hitting. You know, you go straight from Strasburg and Harper to Soto, uh, like no breaks in between it. You know,
Mm-hmm.
Zimmerman before that. These guys are hitting at they're hitting their top picks at a very very high level. At least they were. Now it looks like they still are. James Wood looks incredible. Excuse me.
Brady House,
Brady House looks good.
Dylan Cruz.
Dylan Cruz, that's the one I was trying to say. He's almost he seemed really good in spring training. You know, the Nats for all of their issues in the scouting department, they do a really good job of finding those sure things and developing them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a great thing about sure things. You know,
I know.
it's pretty easy to develop those.
You can mess up a sure thing. You know, it's not nobody's a sure thing, but you can.
You can.
You can do it. I bet you if the A's had some of these guys, they'd mess up at least one.
Fair enough. You got me there.
Yeah. No. Interesting start to the season for the Nationals.
Yeah. No. I guess, are you higher or lower on their overall record? You know, now than you were before the season started.
Definitely a little lower. The reality of the pitching has set in.
Yeah.
When I was doing my predictions, I guess I'll call it my look aheads. I was going along the assumption that Josiah Gray, Mackenzie Gore would both take that next step. We'd get Jackson Rutledge later in the season. You know, that these guys would take the next step and the pitching would go up, not down.
Yeah.
And that hasn't been the case. And so I'm definitely lower on their win total than I was at the beginning because pitching is just so important in the game of baseball. So
it is. I guess, where do you know, if you had to ballpark it, where do you have them ending up now?
So
win-wise?
Beginning of the season, I was looking at 68 to 70 wins.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's where I kind of had them. Same range as last year. Now I'm looking again. My goal for every single season is to win at least 63 games.
Mm-hmm.
Don't have triple-digit losses, and we're kind of flirting with that number. I think we're putting it down at around 60 to 65 ish wins. So
that's where I've been this entire time.
Yeah. So definitely lower. Again, I was definitely high on them at the beginning of the season. I was kind of going in a perfect world. Everybody takes that next step and everything goes well, but that's just not what's going on.
Yeah. I mean, the last thing, first pitch is here in a second. Steven Strasburg officially retired.
Yes, he did.
So, you know, that saga is over.
Is he a Hall of Famer?
No.
No?
He's in Nats Hall of Fame. Like, I think they should retire his jersey.
Right, that's no doubt. He won World Series MVP here. He was integral part of the organization, centerpiece of it, cornerstone for 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think his entire career as a National, he definitely is going to have his jersey retired.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you can make a case for the Hall of Fame.
I think you can too, but Johan Santana is not a Hall of Famer. Felix Hernandez probably won't make the Hall of Fame.
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So I agree. I'm just, you know, the question was, do I think he's a Hall of Famer or is he going to make the Hall of Fame? I don't think Strauss makes the Hall of Fame. Those mid to late 30 years are huge for a Hall of Fame career. Pretty much, you know, matter your peak unless your peak is like Mike Trout, where, you know, Mike Trout could literally just, you know, go 0 for 1000, and he's still a Hall of Famer. Like, uh, yeah, no, I don't think he's a Hall of Famer. My whole thing with Strauss, I'm sure you feel the same way. I hope this process did not create any animosity between him and the franchise. If there is, very not nice words directed towards the people who are signing the checks up there with the Nats organization, because you don't do that to a guy who gave his body for the franchise. So hopefully, everything is all good. Hopefully, we retire his jersey. Hopefully, he comes to the 2019 World Series day, and it's all a good, happy time. And we see him smiling, and then he can go and go do whatever he wants to do with the rest of his life. And hope he enjoys retirement.
Yeah, no, absolutely. There was a point at the end of last season where it was all but a done deal, and then some money stuff happened. And you never want a sour relationship with a franchise legend.
Yeah.
It's only bad things can happen from that, right? First of all, it'd be a brand ambassador. Not that the Nationals really need that much,
No.
but there's all these things that can be good from him sticking around. Create a legacy with the franchise that expand on it. Not just end it. So hopefully they got it figured out. I haven't seen any details. I'm sure they just paid him all his money, or made some deal where he'll get it in.
They deferred it a little. They deferred a little bit more. Is I think the report from Andrew Golden with the Washington Post. I think is what he said.
But I don't see but he definitely got all his money.
Yeah.
And that's really what matters. I think that was the thing that was holding this back. That they were like, oh, we're not going to give you all your money, but they gave it. Hopefully, the negotiations weren't too intense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you have any other, thoughts to wrap up our show today?
No, I was really impressed by the Nats yesterday.
Mm-hmm. Without C.J. Abrams?
Without C.J. Abrams, who the Nationals should sign to a long-term deal.
Yesterday.
They have to pay him a lot of money.
Give him a lot of money still.
Yeah. But, you can save an extra $100 million by doing it now instead of at the end of the season.
Well, I don't even think that's the case. I think it's more of like, would you rather pay him $100 million? Like, would you rather pay him I'm just gonna throw a number out there, $250? Starting now, or starting in 3 years? That's. I'd rather pay it now. Start that contract now. You get more of his prime.
Yeah. But yeah, no. Hopefully the Nats can keep the momentum going from yesterday. I like the lineup they put out yesterday, actually. I know you had a little bit. You don't like Joey in the 4-hole, but.
Well, guess where he is tonight?
Lane Thomas at 3. I kind of like that.
I we don't have enough time to go over the whole Lane Thomas. I have so many thoughts about Lane Thomas and Ross in lineup construction right now. Maybe I'll write something about it. I don't know.
Anyway, thank you everybody so much for tuning in to today's episode of In the Clubhouse with the Nats Report. We have been your hosts, Jeremy Lapidus and
Haden Raymer.
We'll be back next week sometime.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Make sure to check out the Nats Report. Articles going up every day. Lots of stuff around not just the major leagues, but around the whole system.
Yep.
You got someone writing something for every single level. I'll be putting something out for Fred Nats tomorrow, I believe.
Yep.
So
tomorrow, and then I think Wilmington's going out tomorrow as well. So at those lower level.
All that. If you have any questions about anything going on in the Nats organization, the Nats Report is the place to go. So go check that out. Appreciate everybody so much for watching.